We're on the bed, we're about to have a threesome, like we're smoking, right? But when I smoked, like it's like my thoughts came back to me.
You tripping, bro.
But it was like, I was able to think again. And I was like,
I said on the intro, weed saved your life. Go ahead.
it's fucking saved me.
That paranoia for once worked out.
Yeah, and I started, and it was like literally like a Rolodex flipping. That's how it felt. Like in my mind, I could see the vision, like the mental screen was flipping. Like this happened while you were awake. This happened while you were awake. This happened.
I've had it where it's got too much on the side of overthinking everything. But on the flip side of that, this is like I've had it where it's got me overthinking way too much and but when you're stuck in a cult, anyone listening, if you're in a cult, maybe try smoking something because
but for me, I got lucky that it showed me, it was like, wait, I became a disciple? Why the fuck did I do that?
What?
Why did I send these people my address?
Like, what am I doing?
What am I doing right now? I was like, and I just looked at them. I'm like this, like, look at my left and right. I'm like, hold on, I'll be right back. I get up, I leave the room, and I'm sitting on their couch in their living room. And I'm just like, this is nuts. I'm in a crazy situation. And I'm like looking up like Osho, like, I'm seeing he's a cult leader. Wow. I'm like, I gotta go tell, like, while I still have my mind, I gotta go tell Peter, I gotta go tell my family, I gotta tell people like about what's going on right now. I have to figure this shit out. And so I'm like, but I'm about to have a threesome though. And I never had one. And I'm just like, but what if I go back in there and then I lose myself again and I don't take action while I have the opportunity?
Man, what a test.
And I was like,
that was your first test to the next level.
I was like, nah, bro, I gotta leave. So I left, I go home, I'm pretty sure I called Lou, I called Peter.
How many people were like, wait, didn't hear a word about the Colster and were like, wait, you left a threesome?
Yeah, it was,
like, did you not just hear what I said?
Bro, outside looking in, it was crazy because like I'm talking to him on those days when he's not there. You know, like.
So were you seeing a total difference in him?
There was
like from your.
So on the outside looking in, first is just like, I mean, my cousin went off to college. He's got some new things going on around him and everything. So like, naturally, people are gonna change.
Right. And you, like you said before, you known each other your whole life, so you
exactly. So I love him regardless.
Right.
So, like, he could have turned into like whatever he wanted to. Turtle, I don't care. Like I'm gonna love him for life. So when there was discord going on, I'm just thinking of it as like, man, this guy don't want to talk. Like, he's acting like he can't answer me because it's simple stuff that he doesn't do already. Like,
so was it like shutting down kind of, or not?
It was shutting down. It was like, and this is outside looking in too. So it's like, oh, where's like, it's a lack of compassion. There's a shutting down. There's an attentiveness. And he's also like a ninja. He's like, what, double black belt in Taekwondo or something?
Oh, no way.
This is someone who I've known to have like quick reflexes. Like, so like I could just like snap at you, you're gonna snap back. Like, it's like I tossed something at you, you didn't catch it. Weird. We catch stuff like when you're not even supposed to. So what's going on? Like, I'm talking to you. I told you your mom's calling for you and you're just staring out the window. Like,
were you thinking like drugs or something? Like some crazy drug? Or were you just like...
I honestly just thought that like he's going through college. Like I already know that like he's in unprecedented situation. Like
yeah.
At least in our family, our entire generation, we're all like unprecedented in our family.
Right.
No one's had hair like us. No one's ever like been out like us. Like doing stuff. Like I was 16 going to these shows with him. My mom's like complaining like, oh, why are you coming home at 2 a.m.?
Oh yeah.
She's like, you're not going to a show this weekend? You know what I mean? Like,
because
so,
things started to turn up and she changed her mind. She was like, oh, you're not gonna go?
Yeah, because it goes
awesome.
from like, oh, we're just coming home at 2 a.m. to like, yeah, I just got back home 1:30, but we were talking to a record in the studio next week, blah, blah, blah. So it was like,
that's cool.
There's progression going on. So when he was like moving different, I'm like, well, for one, if it hits the fan, I'm there. So like, I'm not stressing it in that sense. And even down to like, spiritual background stuff. It's like I'm very spiritual at home, So like my mom does voodoo, like everybody does voodoo in my family. So it's like,
Yeah, my wife's from Sir. Yeah, they do.
So,
but that's a lot with beliefs too. We could do a whole other show on that. But go ahead.
Yeah, so like in that case, then you know how like someone might have a practice that's inexplicable, but like essential. You know, whether it's like pouring water outside your house every morning or just something, whatever it is that your denomination does. So like watching that happen was one thing, but then it was like, oh, okay, no, now he's like not okay. And my mom and I understood it from a spiritual standpoint because a doctor's gonna tell you go get it. Your friends are just gonna tell you that you're like, oh, you're just depressed, like
Right.
do something fun. But I'm like,
it is voodoo. That is like what was happening.
Yeah, it's his spirit that's gone. So like my mom and I know that. So we're like at the house trying to figure out like, and mind you, he's also someone who like, for example, like he likes to go home. So like when he comes over and then it's like, bro, I went to school, came back, and been passed out on the couch like for 2 days. Like,
Wow.
Okay. And it's like, and my mom has basically like a church at her house. Books and prayers and all kind of random stuff. She doesn't source from one spot. So like he'll just wake up and my mom's like, yo, I don't even know what happened. He just woke up and went and grabbed this book and he's been reading it all day.
And
that is so crazy.
And to put context onto that, it was because like I didn't feel at the time like many people understood me, except his mom understood me some, and that really brought peace to me. But it was like I knew that I was figuring out. Once I like left, I was figuring out how to deprogram myself and simultaneously reprogram myself for what I wanted to go, because I had to deprogram myself. And one of the books she had was The Power of the Subconscious Mind. And at the same time, I wanted answers. I was like, okay, these guys were malicious in a way. Exactly. They're tapping into my subconscious.
Because you told me you asked at one point, you're like, it's funny because in a way, God used this to level me up because I got into like a rut and I'm like, didn't you ask?
I made a prayer. I said, God, like turn me, like enlighten me, make me like amazing, in touch with myself, be amazing person that can handle so many things. I don't care how extreme it is. I don't care how messed up it is. As long as I live and I keep my limbs and all that, like I'm good. I'll be straight. I'll make it through.
Dude, how is this not proof that God's not orchestrating?
Yeah,
it's because it's so crazy how not the he from I almost don't like saying he anymore after hearing the subliminal things on you, but like how God, how the higher power can use the darkness to actually draw out the light from it and bring more light into you. And conquer that darkness and actually use that as a superpower for you through that. Not while you're in it, obviously, but no. So go ahead. So you started reading that book.
Beautiful contrast for like what the beautiful light that he has for us. You know what I mean?
But you're reading that book.
Oh yeah, I'm reading.
So I'm just giving back to the story.
Oh yeah, my bad. I'm reading that book and I'm just like, what my whole thing was like, I was addicted to books because I needed answers and the people around me couldn't give it to me. People didn't know deep enough spiritually, or like they didn't know. I needed the science. I needed to be able to talk to my dad about what was happening to me. Because at this point, I only know like the woo-woo spiritual experiential like of what's going on. I'm like, I need to be able to explain biochemically what's happening in my brain. I need to be able to explain the neurology what's happening right now. I need to be able to explain like that stuff. Like even down to like the different frequencies. I needed to be able to do that. And I just didn't have that information yet. And I was just itching for it. I'm like reading through The Power of Now, trying to get all the answers, where like if I knew myself at the time, maybe I would have gave myself a book by Joe Dispenza or Bruce Lipton.
Right.
So, but it took me a while to find that. And I was so grateful when I started to find books that like explain the science behind like flow state or even the reticular activating system. Yeah, but back to like that point in time, I remember like Lou telling me later, like he was like, he wasn't. You were saying you weren't sure like if this was gonna be me forever, if I was gonna be like zombified.
Oh yeah, man. Well, that's one of the things I think about. Like, it was a real attachment to like faith and like the practices that
Yeah.
Because there's like a certain point of it that's in his hands. Like I couldn't meditate him out of it even if I wanted to. I could pray for him. I could do everything on the outside. Here's some food, eat it when you feel like it. Hey, I'm gonna go out. Do you need anything while I'm out? Cool, no. But when it came to like what he needed to figure out, he needs to figure that out. And all we could give him is the space to figure it out. And then in the meantime, keep the outside out. Because it was also a very like vulnerable state.
Right.
Because like I know spiritually, wise how someone might come to that.
Right.
But this was done so like physically, if you will. Like this wasn't a metaphysical situation where I can just send back whatever came to you. This is something that was like reconstructed from the inside. So it's like this is something I cannot call on something external for it. It has to be an internal work done from the inside out. But then I also knew that like realizing the damage that was done, it was like, yeah, aside from faith, there's not really much like one can plan to say like, oh, this will bring him back.
Right.
Here,
just do A, B, and C. Yeah.
And then he'll be back. No. It was a point where I'm looking at him on the couch and I'm like, okay, like this might be it for the next 30 years, next 50 years.
Wow.
Like I had to introduce my kids to him like this, like
That's
however
nuts.
it is. But it's like, not like, oh, I'm cool with that. Like, yeah.
Right.
But like, if that's what it has to be, it'll be what it has to be at the end of the day. And then watching him come out of it and being able to be like, yo, bro, because there was certain things where it was like, oh man, like if you didn't tell me this or if I didn't tell you that, then we wouldn't have known to catch this before it fell and stuff like that. So
Right.
It's just like a point in time where you gotta look at the person. I'm like, I love him regardless. Like,
Yeah. Well, it's and also we don't know what's going through someone's mindset, you know? So you didn't even know, to be able to say, oh, this is already happening. Like you didn't even, it was all happening so gradually. It wasn't just immediately like,
Yeah, it was gradual. I would like let my mom know. Like, I remember there was one point where I told my mom was like, "Be careful." I'm like, "Mom, I know. Like, I'm not sure what it is going on, but they're not gonna get me. I promise you that." And I was like,
oh yeah, I wasn't gonna let him. Yeah. I think that was also one thing that I felt was like important, like spiritual. Like his spirit knew that, like at the end of the day, there was a certain base level,
like a connection
that like we already had, where it's like he like it's like, okay, I may not find out what happened to him or how to reverse it, but I'll know like it's not going past this.
yeah,
Like now
I believe
home,
that.
now he's with us. Like it's not going past this.
yeah.
Let's make our way back. But it's not going past.
It felt like, and my name Apollo came from Percy Jackson books, but it was just like being inspired by Greek mythology.
Okay.
But it felt like this was me being held by my heel and being dipped in the river of Styx and being pulled back out and then like surviving the death. And
Right.
now I'm like a demigod. Like that's how I felt. And from where I was,
cool.
it was like, okay, I realized all this shit is weird. I started looking into hypnotism. And I'm like, oh my God, like you can hypnotize with your eyes and stuff like that. Then I was like looking up, can somebody like hypnotize you like in the movies type of hypnotism type of thing?
Right.
And it was like, oh, you can't really hypnotize somebody to completely control them type of thing. But if somebody is hypnotizing you and repetitively asking you to surrender to them, remove yourself from the situation immediately. That's when I was like, boom, okay, I got it. I know I got it. I already knew it, but I was trying to prove myself logically why I need to get out. And so at this point, I'm trying to figure out like what's happening to me. I'm trying to communicate. I go meet up with this guy. I'm like, yo, what's happening? Like, and I see him looking at me in my eyes and I'm just like, I pull away, I look down and I look back up and he looks down like, what was that? Like, how come we pulled away type of thing? Like, and like, and I remember he's like, yo, like, I don't know who you were in your past life, but you're powerful. I'm like, huh, okay. And I'm just like suspicious. And I remember I'm trying to tell him like what's going on with me, and he's not responsive. Like he's not giving me any straight answers. And I remember I go home and stuff at this point, and I would try to go to sleep, and I would go into a trance the moment, like you know when you're falling asleep.
Yeah.
The moment you fall asleep.
Yeah.
That moment that I would fall asleep, it would feel like a huge, infinite, growing, fully infinite funnel. Infinitely bigger and smaller, like a whirlpool.
like an abyss.
Like an abyss. Like I kept getting dragged into it every time I would just fall asleep. And I would like I couldn't sleep for days because I would just go there and I would just have to wake up to like not keep getting sucked in. And I remember calling him and being like, what the heck is going on, bro? I don't want this. And he was like, no, it's good. Go deeper into that. And I'm like, okay, I can't talk to him anymore. He's not going to give me any type of solutions. He wants whatever's happened to me to happen to me. And I was just like, that's when and I remember looking up enlightenment. I was like, what the fuck is enlightenment? And then I find out that Illuminati used to be a real group that was centered around enlightenment.
Okay, so the Illuminati with enlightenment.
Yeah, so basically like what I find out, because I'm researching shit because I'm trying to figure out what the fuck is going on. I researched this shit and I found out that Illuminati, like the whole thing about Illuminati now is like, we don't know if there's some people are like arguing whether it's still around and stuff. That's a whole conspiracy thing. But it was a real group back in the day that was trying to enlighten people.
So it was originally made as a good thing?
I don't know if it was good or I don't know what their intentions were.
But it wasn't like meant originally as like a cult.
It wasn't a cult or anything. I don't know. But but my whole thing was I just looked up enlightenment and just saw the word tied to that, like illumination, enlighten. And I was like in their history, and I was so scared. I was like, oh my God, I sold my soul. I didn't know it. I was just making shit up. And because I really had no idea like what the fuck would happen to me. And so from there, that's when I started doing the research and started learning. And I remember like there was a point where I had to give my mom my books because I just came like manic I'm like, yo, hide my books from me because I wanted to figure out what happened to me, but the answers weren't in the books that I had at the time. And from there, it was just like, I was just in this, I remember there was I'm back home, I'm out of school, and we get a package in the mail from like Osho from the company, giving me like a picture of him and a necklace, and my mom's like, no, throw that shit away. She throws it away, and I walk around the house, my mom's like, oh dang, look at your hair, like it looks like, I don't like your hair. I'm like, okay. Then my grandma walks up. I'm like, at this point, I don't give a crap about anything. I'm just living. And then my grandma's like, oh, I don't like your hair. I'm like, that's interesting. My mom just told me that.
Yeah.
Then I'm walking and my sister's like, oh, your hair looks like clutter. I was like, I don't like clutter. And I was like, all right, mom, can you cut my hair? We go outside in the backyard and I cut my hair. It's the same day she threw away that thing. She cut I had my first set of dreads. It's my second set right now. She cut that off. And I remember just surrendering. I gave a prayer. I was like, listen, God, like, I don't know what happened. Like, the worst possible thing I could think of right now is like, if I gave myself to demons or something like that. And if that's the case, I still pray that you use me to do good in this life, to have a positive, purposeful way of being in this life for the world. Like, use me in that way, God. And I surrender. Whatever the fuck happened, I surrender. And I remember it was just like, I was like the world was whole different. Like, I was like in a fairyland. Like, I was just like, everything was so bright. I was just super grounded. And I went and took a shower, and I remember washing my hair. Like, I was like, like, I felt like it was just so amazing. I just like washed
like
everything
a rebirth off. Almost, yeah.
Exactly, literally. And then from there, it was just about like reconnecting, like bringing my spirit back to me, like bringing myself back to myself. Cause like there would be moments like I was more here, but there'd be moments where like I'm walking, I'm talking, and I'm just bloom, I'm gone, and I'm like in a trance and I can't move. Like I'm literally stiff, like
so crazy,
like dissociated. And I'm like, and then I was getting better at bringing myself back and staying here. And over time, like I remember just thinking, I'm like, I just had so much awareness, and I was just like, man, if I'm doing what I'm doing right now, I'm not gonna make it as an artist. And I was like, so then I just started making music, and I just started making more music. I started doing the things that I knew I had to do. And then people were saying that I was depressed, and I was like, I don't really feel depressed, but I just see like two different sides of life at the same time right now. Right. And I was like, all right, but what do people do to get out of the situation? I started looking up like successful people, and I started looking, they say, meditate, they say, get in the sun, say affirmations, exercise. That's how to get. So I started a morning routine, but I collected that knowledge. I didn't have the force to make it happen, the energy. I remember I went to Haiti. I went and I bathed in a river, and where my ancestors were at in Grand Guave, my grandma from, and talked to my ancestors. And I went to, that's cool. And I remember just playing with the kids in Grand Guave, and like riding a motorcycle around, just like doing whatever, like what I really felt like doing.
Yeah. And there's some therapeutic about that too,
Yeah,
you know?
yeah.
Just get like grounded, motors to the fresh air,
Exactly.
Yeah.
It was just do everything I could to ground myself. But it wasn't even a force. It was just what I felt like doing. I was allowing myself to do. And then I had that morning routine in my back pocket. And then when I got back, I felt the inspiration to start implementing the morning routine. And I just started. I'm okay, this is it. I'm running every day and I'm like making myself smile. Like I'm smiling on purpose. And I said, this is it. This is my life now. I hate it running. I'm like, I don't care.
That's right.
This is what it is.
It's
now.
like a muscle you're working on,
This
building
is-
your happiness.
This is just what it is. I'm gonna run. Like this is my life now. That's it. I go to California. I talked to my friend Jordan, and he's like, "Yeah, that morning routine is gonna do well for you." That was somebody, that's somebody that a friend of mine that has some success, like in e-commerce and stuff like that. And I was just looking at the people that have created a better life for themselves. That's what I was focused on.